Welcome back. We're on part 2 of episode 78. It's time for the hot tags, and 3 of them that I have written down here. First off, one we've talked about multiple times, so we can really just push it out of the way. One of the rumors is that we might get Paul Bearer for next year's Hall of Fame. Like I said, we've talked about it a bunch of times, so there's really not much more to say other than good idea.
Oh, yes!
Great fucking idea.
Oh, yes! Oh,
Yeah.
yes!
He's turning into a horse.
I'm not doing my Paul Bear impersonation.
And none of us can go that awesomely high. I don't
Yes, I can though.
But he's being considered for like kind of like first ballot or like one of the first people announced for next year's Hall of Fame, right? Correct?
Right, and
Right.
The Undertaker doing the honors, of course, even though they always talk about how he isn't a part of the Hall of Fame, but to me, that's just bullshit. Just have him fucking go out there, you know what I mean? It's not gonna break character. It's not like you don't already see somebody like Kane sitting out there next
In his fancy clothes, watching the ceremony, you know?
Right, you know. Mark Henry sitting there laughing and joking about people when he's supposed to be like beating their asses and eating their faces or whatever.
That's what he
No,
does.
I'd say that this
Yeah,
is good.
that's
I
what
just
he
wonder why we have to wait for people to die to go into the Hall of Fame.
I assume that they were going
Yeah.
to get around to him anyway, and it's just he happened to die before they were planning on it. They
I hope
probably
so.
thought that they had a couple more years left too.
Can we have CM Punk cut the promo from going to the Hall of Fame and induct him while putting dust all over himself?
I'll tell you what that they could do, if they were to have like, you know how the Legion of Doom, when they had the little action figure of Hawk, and they were like,
Yeah.
oh, he's here for the Hall of Fame, like that kind of a thing. They definitely should bring out the urn and have that like on the podium.
Yeah, I could see that.
Put
Yeah,
a
me too.
microphone to the urn.
So he just keeps tapping it a bunch of times. That's the promo. I'm laughing at a picture that someone just said.
I wonder who would have the balls to actually do that promo.
I don't know. Well, Punk probably would, but
Just flick the urn up to its side. Dick.
yeah.
Knock it down.
A couple other hot tags we have. John Cena's injury. Now, the reason this is like late news by now, but it happened like right after we had recorded the show last week, so it's time to
About
talk
like
about
2
it.
days afterwards, so it wasn't very long.
Right, yeah. If we would have, waited a day or so, would have ended up being on that show instead. But the way that this works, we would have reported a whole big thing about an Achilles heel tear, or like a severe injury to the Achilles tendon, all this other kind of stuff. And then the next day it was like, well, it's not that bad, and then he's working on it and all this other kind of stuff. So it went from being a huge story that was going to affect not only the WWE title, but also Burhan's the fantasy league for keeping kayfabe, and Spark Out moment, where that was pretty much your star player. And if you would have lost him, you'd have been fucked.
No, I wouldn't have been. I had the Shield, which you need to believe in, Tony. And I have
Was I the
Cody
only one
Rhodes.
who actually thought they were overplaying it just to see if people would tune in to actually see if he had to possibly relinquish the belt or anything like
Well,
that?
you know what made
Just
me
kidding,
laugh
guys. I'm going to work
was
the whole year anyway.
I'm
Cena
still
has
thinking
an
it's a fake
injury.
injury.
you could show that the whole kayfabe of that injury, the whole work was in play when Cena ran down the bloody ramp with it.
Well,
Yeah.
he was gingerly running. I mean, it's not like he was running, full bore. He was.
No, I mean it's definitely hurt a little bit. He's risking making it worse by continuing working through it, unless they're doing something to protect him.
Look, I think first off, the big tip for me that it might be fake is the fact that WWE.com was the first to post it. Very rarely is that ever the case. WWE.com.
Yeah, but when did they start when would they start like an angle at a house show instead of postponing it until the next night on Monday? I mean, they could have had Ryback injure him on TV and still accomplish the same thing.
They want to make it seem more real.
Yeah, they've had title changes happen in the middle of live events just to kind of boost that up and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Here's what I think. I think what's going to happen is this is going to play a factor in the matchup at Elimination Chamber, and I would not be surprised if Ryback ends up getting the win. I think the injury angle is a way for them to get the belt onto Ryback, get some more heat on him, get him going, and
Okay,
have
I
Cena
hope
chase
not.
after him without making Cena look bad, because they don't want to have Ryback just beat him clean, because they just
Please,
gave the
they're
belt to
not
Cena.
doing that. The guy just won the title back from The Rock. If they do that, then they're just idiots.
The only way I could see them having him drop the title is if he actually is injured enough that they need to.
And he actually needs to sit like a few months out
Right, or
to
even a
heal
whole
up.
month
Which
out. Or
obviously after Monday, I am completely 100% convinced that that's not happening.
At the same time, though, I'm really not convinced they're going to just have Cena beat Ryback clean. I think that
I
would be a
do.
big mistake.
I think that they're gonna make that mistake.
Well, it's not really a mistake. I mean, Ryback's not proving to be all that great of an investment now, is he?
That's only because that's the way that they're booking him. I mean, they've had to
Ah,
lose every single match that's
me
been.
and Burhans have the one major issue with him is that no matter what, and if Cena can do this, then he gets props because Brian and very like Cesaro are like the only two people to do this. Ryback does not seem capable of being able to hold his own in a match when it takes two to tango.
No,
No
but they've
matter
had
what.
other champions that have been like that too. Look at Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, but that worked for the time. I mean, times have changed immaculate. I mean, the guy. There's a big difference between him and John Cena in terms of holding the belt and being able to do what they can inside the ring. It's just and the forced heel run just to try and get him booed and yeah.
It all depends on how serious they are about Ryback. If they're serious enough that they want to keep him protected like they were earlier in the year, then I could see a situation where they go out of their way to make sure that Ryback looks good. They'll put him against guys that can work with him. I don't think his own work rate, if they really care, is going to matter too much. Like I said, I would be really shocked if, given how much they've done with Ryback, that they just have him job out to Cena, because that's going to kill him, in my
I think what's
opinion.
terrible
Well,
is
they've
that
already killed him. They've killed any
because
momentum
they
the
chopped
guy
him off
had.
at the nuts because they felt the Shield was a better investment, so they had him pin him at Elimination Chamber. He's never been the same since,
Yeah,
which is
well,
fine.
not
I
just
didn't
that,
care
he's been pinned
because they are the better
every
investment.
single time. He had a feud with Henry. What happened? He got pinned again.
He was already damaged goods by the time the match with Henry rolled around, though. They chopped him off at the nuts at Elimination Chamber when he got pinned by the Shield because they thought they were the better the stable was a better investment than Ryberg, and then they turned him heel in an attempt to kind of change his character pretty much, and the feud with Cena. But
Well, we have one other hot tag, and that is that they're going to do Raw pre-shows on Yahoo now, and I think that this is a terrible idea. It's already 3 hours. Do you need to fucking pre-show?
pre-shows, I'll never be tuning in. That's for sure. Oh,
No, I don't
can't
even fucking
imagine.
watch SmackDown anymore because it's unnecessary.
And even from a business standpoint, Yahoo has no penetration when it comes to their video service. Nobody goes to Yahoo. I mean, it's a dead franchise as is. I mean, the only thing that's been keeping them up is the fact that they keep doing these big investment deals. Like a couple years ago, they bought Rhapsody, and they've just been doing all this stuff to keep up. In fact, I think they just signed a deal to get the rights to a lot of the old SNL footage from Hulu. Just this from WWE standpoint, I don't get it. I mean, they could have signed with anybody else, or they could have just put it on their YouTube channel.
Right.
I don't understand. Which makes you wonder about the WWE channel. What's going on with that if they're doing this Raw pre-show through Yahoo combined
More
with the
JBL
whole.
and Cole show.
What was that?
More JBL and Cole show.
Well, they've got way too many things in the pipeline, and speaking from somebody who does it as well, I spin way too many plates, and they do as well when it comes to the network. If they want to have a network, they can't have all the shows on USA and Sci-Fi and the NXT show and Saturday Main Event and all this, all on various different networks, and then at the same time have YouTube and Hulu and Yahoo and pay-per-view, and then it's like, oh my god, dude, like
all view.
It's to a point where if you are the type of person that not only has enough time for this too, because how many people have enough time to watch all this WWE content, but then you have to know 1,000 different networks and stuff to go to instead of just having the WWE Network or just having everything on YouTube, which would make a lot more sense to me, having everything on YouTube, or at the very least YouTube and Hulu and WWE.com.
So they
But
feel that
Vince, but
oversaturation of the product can be helped by even more oversaturation of the product.
yeah,
to me, the WWE Network is just another example of Vince needing to make his dick feel bigger. He needs to be able to have something like that he can hang it on. Like, I've got my own network now. It's another bravado move. It's like when he tried to pick a fight with Ted Turner in the 90s. I mean, he just wants to be able to stand up and go, I've got this thing. I'm as big a mogul as Ted Turner. I'm as big a mogul as Oprah.
yeah,
And it's not going to work. It's going to fail. It's going to fail as bad as it did the XFL. In fact, maybe worse, because, I mean, like I said, Oprah tried to do her own network and lost, I think, millions or even billions on it. And that's Oprah, one of the biggest moguls out there. I mean, Vince is a name, but he's not one of the big names. So if he does try this network and it flops, it's going to flop hard.
right, yeah, and it certainly has no proper steam going behind it when they keep making all their content for other avenues.
Honestly, I would love to see them, if they really wanted to, make their own website provider. Go the route of a Hulu. Just make your own website, put all your content on there, all the classics on demand stuff, all these shows. Not all of them. I mean, Raw, SmackDown, those two would obviously be on the major networks. But if they really care so much about controlling their own content, they can do that. Like I said, I don't think it's about wanting to control their content. It's he wants a network.
Yeah, and the
I,
pre-show, they can't possibly have anything on this pre-show that'll be worth watching.
They
well,
have
I
3
think,
hours of
Get a
content
chance to
already
watch
on.
the dark match to every Raw now. I mean,
it
that
gives
was
them
just for the crowd,
something
but
to
now
do.
it's
The
for
thing is,
y'all.
right, people already tune into the WWE app like fucking monkeys anyway, Brandon, and see what's going on. So they're gonna rely on those type of people, Brandon, to check out the Raw pre-show. So Brandon
Why are you
will probably be
throwing me
watching it.
under the bus? I have an iPad. I watch the WWE app. It's something to do during the commercial break.
What do they
You
do? They stream
monkey.
Raw through the app?
Not
I
through the
have
app.
the app, and I can't even really use it for watching the show because over here in Canada they delay it by like 15 minutes compared to the actual live US stream.
Mhm.
And that
Don't they
sucks. So
chop?
if I were to watch it on the app, I'd be watching something that's probably already happening ahead of what's on my TV.
Don't they chop the show down in Canada as is? Like they cut out a lot of content, or was that the old days?
We get pretty much everything you guys get now.
So you mean you get all of the let's take a look at that what happened earlier, and then this thing we'll show
Oh
you next
yes,
week, and
the 4 replays in a row of like what happened 5 minutes ago, so to speak. Yes, that most certainly goes on.
that is
Yeah.
the only possible saving grace if they do have this pre-show, and they won't do it. But if they were to have a pre-show where they can talk about all the angles and then have more matches during Raw, they're not going to do it though. They're just going to rerun the same thing 1,000 more times.
A bit
Well,
of
yeah,
a
but
tangent.
that's the point of Raw, apparently. You know.
As far as and as a bit of a side tangent, that's the one thing that irritates me about them putting their stuff on Hulu, because the Hulu stuff is 2 hours. They do chop down a considerable amount off of that when it goes onto Hulu, but they chop down stuff we actually want. Like, I remember the last time I tried to watch Raw on Hulu, it was the same show chopped down to 2 hours, but instead of chopping out all of the extraneous stuff, I think they chopped out, like, there was a match between Kofi and Dolph Ziggler that got chopped out. I think this may have been one of the episodes with the anger management skits that they did, and I think they cut out one of those. I mean, they don't cut out the extraneous stuff when they chop it down, but I mean, it kind of bugs me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I am not looking forward to it whatsoever. That should pretty much do the hot tags, and that means that part 3 is coming up with whether or not Alberto Del Rio is better as a heel or a babyface.
Oh, hold on. before you switch over, can I just make one bit of TNA news that I just looked
No.
up?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to get your thoughts on this, guys, because I just read it. It's on WrestlingNewsSource.com.
Oh, so
I don't know
you
how.
read it? You believe that is actually happening? Pfft, Mark.
No, let me just get your opinions.
Okay.
Apparently, it's being seriously talked about that TNA is building up to their Bound for Glory pay-per-view for a matchup between Bully Ray and Hulk Hogan, and there's
Oh,
rumors
dear
that it might
Lord.
be
Okay,
for
you know,
the
Miguel,
title.
get off the show.
I fucking hope that they don't do that.
I got 3 words for you, okay? Finger poke of doom.
Oh God, you talked about this on Keeping Kayfabe.
I
Oh.
did, and I'm sticking by it. I'm telling you, Hulk Hogan will be a member of Aces and Eights, and he's gearing up for another title run, brother. He's got one more in him.
Is anybody
he
else going to
hasn't.
collectively puke in the toilet
Hogan
if he actually
barely
becomes
has.
champion?
The guy
Yeah.
could barely bump. Why the frick does he need a title?
Because that's what the people want to see, brother, okay? That's what they pay
They
them.
want
What
to see the
people?
biggest draw in wrestling history, holding
Eric
the world
Bischoff and Brooke
championship,
Hogan
brother.
don't count as
Hogan
people.
is TNA, brother. Main event of Bound for Glory, brother.
Big
The only
poop like
person who'll be
okay?
sitting there marking out
Watch
and
my
go,
daughter, brother, every night on every Thursday night on Impact, brother.
Now, I could see them doing a Hogan and Bully Ray match, not for the title, but it better not fucking be for the title.
Oh, you know it. I'm telling you.
I would
All
rather
I'm
it not
gonna
happen
say-
in general.
all I'm gonna say is this, right? If they do it, and if it happens, if Hogan wins the championship, the only person who's gonna be sitting there cheering for Hogan is Dixie. Ooh, I didn't see that happening. Whoops. No
That'd
one.
be great if they had him lose, though. He comes up there, it's the reverse finger poke of doom. Bully Ray just fucking, like, he just goes, stiff wind, and fucking Hulk Hogan breaks his back.
Oh, a strong
But
wind.
imagine them trying to have a match. You imagine Hogan trying to take a bump after that whole issue with the lawsuit about his back and everything. Do you really think that they're going to go that route? Seriously?
Didn't he wrestle? Well, it's going to be 2 years ago now. Didn't he wrestle Sting at Bound?
Yeah,
for
that's what I was gonna say. To be fair, though, they did have a co-main event at last year's Bound for Glory with him and Sting.
Did anyone watch that match?
Nope.
Well, I did.
I didn't.
Some TNA fans, I'm guessing.
It felt like eye rape. I watched that match, and the match
Was it like putting your eyes through a meat grinder, almost?
Not just, it's like putting my eyes through a meat grinder, burying them, and then saying a prayer afterwards.
I don't think it was painful. More so sad. It was just sad seeing it. Like, I wasn't mad. I was just really just disappointed
If I
in
was part
myself
of the locker
and the
room,
rest of
I'll be
wrestling.
sitting there thinking, I got bumped off the card for this.
True story, bro.
What do you mean bumped off the card? That doesn't happen in TNA. You just get fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they pay people.
Right. All right. Well, then that does wrap up hot tags. Next up, going to be heel or face, Alberto Del Rio.